everybody? Glenn, Red Dog Motorsports. Once again, we're back out in the shop working on Tickle Pickle. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into the channel. All of the new subscribers, thank you so much. And if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, please do so. You can like and subscribe to as many channels as you want. It's free, doesn't cost you anything, won't change anything, but it'll help me out, and I would greatly appreciate that. We're starting out this week. We're going to work on finishing the drive shaft and the exhaust, which I wanted to get done last week but didn't. And then we've about got the body unbolted, so once the drive shaft and exhaust is done, maybe the battery mount, we'll finish it. All of those things, we should be able to cut the floor out of the body and set it on the chassis. And then with it set on the chassis, we'll be able to start working on finalizing all the mounts for that and moving on to mounting the radiator and the fuel tank. But for now, we're on the drive shaft. So let me bring you down, show you what we got going on. All right, so removing U-joints. These are GM 3Rs, and they are pinned from the factory. And the best way, you can just press them out. It's a lot of work, but it can be done. But the best way I've found is just to take the torch and heat them up. You heat the end cap up. Here in a minute, it'll all start to push out. Kind of cool, actually. Of course, it'll probably do a side that I don't have you looking at. Try to get you in the frame for both of them. See which side comes out first. Darn it. It's always something. I could really use a video guy. Maybe I should have my son videoing me instead of working on the rig. But at any rate, I don't know if I gave anybody an update on the buggy after. Oh, there we go. There we go. We're pushing. You can see it right over here. Need more than that though. There we go. Let's see if we can get the other side. Try to get both sides to go. Tend to get a lot out one side and just a little out the other. All right. Gonna do the other side, and then we're gonna put it in the press and press them out. All right, I got the tubing cut for the drive shaft. Now I'm going to drill the holes for the plug welds, and then we'll take it over and start aligning everything. So let me set you guys down here. Just look right down there for me. Just going to use a step drill. Now I've got about 3 inches of existing shaft, so I'm just going to put it right about in the middle. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4 on each end. I'm just using the vise in the saw just because it's easy. And doing about a 1/2 inch hole. So I got 7 more of those to drill, and then we'll move on. All right, let's talk about where we are. Is, was, will be, I guess. All right, so drive shaft materials cut, plug weld holes are drilled, and I have got the basic setup in terms of being square and in phase. I level these out on a surface, typically my table, because I know it's pretty flat. Now that doesn't take care of these from being a side to side movement. So now I'll just put one tack on each one, on each end that is, and then we'll get it up into probably a couple of jack stands. As you can see, it's sitting pretty level, and we'll verify that it's sitting level on the jack stands, and then we'll use the square that I got hanging there off of the table on each end and rotate it through. Typically try to measure from a point that's going to stay the same somewhere. I don't know what we're going to use on this one, but I rotate it through and try to make sure that it's not wobbling, and then we weld them in. Wouldn't say it's the right way to do it, it's the way I do it. And I haven't had any U-joint failures. I've had a couple wobble, had to redo a couple. But I've probably built 20 like this without any real problems. Now, they're not running down the road for 50 to 60,000 miles, but they're working well off-road. I've run them down the freeway at 70, all that kind of stuff, without any real issues. And some of them have been out there for 10, 15 years and are still working. So it's all you can ask for. Like I said, I'll build this one. If it fails or I end up having problems with it in the future, then we'll have one built by a drive shaft shop that can rotate it and balance it and do all the right stuff that I just don't have the equipment for. But this is cheap, keeps me in budget. So let's get it done. So I got it all leveled out and measured and welded. Even pulled out the big Johnson level, that is, check it. And everything looks like it was pretty good, so not too terribly concerned about it. I know with the plug welds it's definitely going to hold. Now I'll go along, I'm going to grind some of these high spots down, just try to get everything as uniform as possible with the welds. I don't grind them smooth. But I just grind down the high spots to get them level with everything else. I feel like grinding them smooth just takes away the strength. And I'll do the same with the plug welds. And we'll see how she holds up. I have one of the U-joints here. I'm waiting on the other one. It's supposed to be here this afternoon. So I should be able to get it all put together today. And we'll see where we're at. All right, everybody. It's a new day. And I got distracted yesterday. I was working on the rat rod, but not in the direction I should have been. I ended up installing the power steering pump and getting the serpentine belt installed. And of course that leads to a problem that I got to resolve over there. Then I ended up coming over to the old body and removing the tailgate. Of course that exposes some stuff that I got to deal with there. And I was working on bracing for the battery tray and all that, and discovered that I got a problem there. So I got to lower that and whatnot, but I did get the exhaust laid out, so I'll show you that real quick. All right, so over here at the exhaust, I cut a 180 bend in half, made it into a nice 90. We're gonna get that tacked in today. Goes into the straight pipe, comes back to the muffler, which I cleaned up. We'll go through the muffler. It comes out. Oh, try to back up here a little bit. Goes into 245s that are just aimed out over here. We'll even those up so they're even. But that's the basics of what we got. We're gonna have to do some kind of hanger so that we can get everything in place as it needs to be. But I'm probably going to go ahead and tack all this together, get it welded up and in place, get the hangers worked out, that kind of thing. We're going to lower, the problem, sorry. So the problem we got is this is too high. The drive shaft at full height, ride height of the chassis, the drive shaft is within 1/4 inch, and during a bounce or something it would hit. I don't want it to hit, so I'm going to drop this bar. We'll just cut these 2 tacks on each side, drop it down 3/4 inch or so. I can't go much lower than that or the exhaust starts to have issues. So we'll drop it down in place, and then that should be that. We should be able to get everything to fit. And then once another thing I got to do, got to pull the motor, fix that motor mount, and up here the belt is within 1/8 inch, and so that's going to bounce and it will eventually rub this bar. So I'm going to pull it. When I pull the motor, I got to weld the back side of each one of these bars, but what I'll also do is put in just a piece of 2-inch pipe or something and just give a relief for that belt to go through. But that'll resolve all of that, because originally when I put that together I didn't have that AC pump in there that I'm going to use for my air compressor pump, and so I didn't expect to run into that problem. I was going to run a shorter belt, but plans change and thus designs change. So we'll get that fixed up, and then no big deal. But it does mean I got to pull the motor. So let me pull the welder out. We'll get all of that stuff welded up. We'll get the motor pulled. It's only 3 bolts. Fix the motor mount, fix that thing up there, and then we'll be to the point of cutting apart the body so we can set it on there. All right. So one of the things I've been thinking about while I've been working is the amount of time left on this project. September 21st is right around the corner. Today's July 9th, and we've got, what's that, 60-something days left for fabrication, and I can't use all of that time. I need a couple of days, week, whatever, to go through, make sure we're running and driving and it cools and all of that good stuff. So yeah, about another 6 weeks of fab time, and then that means I got to have the body done, the chop done. Anything not done, gonna have to wait till later. Time is getting short. Gonna be some late nights, that's for sure. And then on top of that, I got some stuff going on. Like Ronan and I, we're gonna go to the USS Alabama on a little camping trip. You guys will like that. We're gonna do a little filming on that, see some stuff out Alabama way, Florida, that kind of thing. So that'll be cool, but it's still time I ain't gonna be here in the shop. It's time with my boys, so that counts, but whoo, we gotta get busy. All right, so got the motor mount out. As you can see, big hole in it. So I need to move this one over this way. So with the big hole in it, I got a choice. I can remake the entire bracket and deal with trying to get all my holes and stuff lined up. Or what I'm gonna do, I trace this section out on some 1/4 inch plate. I'm gonna cut it out, weld it in, cut this one off, move it over, weld it back in. It shouldn't be a problem. I wish I could keep the slot. That's just nice strength, but I don't have the ability to make one. So we're gonna have to go without. Should be all right. They've been made without slots for a really long time and it's been fine. So I'm gonna get that done. I'm not gonna bore you with the welding or the cutting. Y'all have seen plenty of video of that. So that's where we're at. I'll show you when I get it built. Okay, we have the motor mount cut and the poly, all that is back in place like it's supposed to be. As you can see in the time lapse, I got the backside of the front end welded out. Not the best welding I've ever done, not the worst per se, but if you see the rig at Psycho Silo, you're more than welcome to poke your head back in there and see what I did. I'm not showing you now. I need to go ahead and grind the motor mount base plate flush, and then we can bolt it to the motor, put the motor back in place, and then I can tack weld in the bracket portion of the base plate of the motor mount and get it in place. Then I can remove the whole thing, finish weld it, we'll let it cool, maybe get some paint on it, and then we'll go from there. But that should get us pretty close. Torque converter got bolted while I was waiting on things to cool. I rerouted the air lines to get them a little bit better location. But yeah, moving along. And if you were screaming that I forgot something, you were right. I forgot. I need to cut this piece out. This is going to be for the belt clearance. So it needs to go at an angle like this. Yeah, because the belt's going down like that. So I need to take my cutoff wheel. We're going to slit it. Probably try to cut a couple of pie chunks out of it to get some room. And then I'll try to get in there at the grinder and clean it up. Then I've got a piece of 2-inch pipe that we'll set in there, tack weld it in, cut it flush on the bottom, and basically try to get it so that you can't see it, so the belt can go through there and have the clearance it needs to not touch and destroy the belt. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'll bring you back in when I get a little bit done. Okay, I got things welded in. Now I need just to do a little bit of grinding and shaping. But you can see it's not horrible, but it should provide enough room. Now before you panic about how much I took out, keep in mind that is not structural in any way. Sure, it may provide some structure to the frame, but it's not needed. The frame originally didn't have anything like that, doesn't need anything like that. The only thing I was doing is providing some kind of structure up there just to give some shape to the unit, so it's not just the engine, and then give me a place to hang the lights. So having that piece gone doesn't matter one bit. But I'm going to shape it up, and then we'll get the motor in and get that motor mount done, because once that's done, I'll be able to do the exhaust, and then we'll be ready to set the body. So getting close. Really excited about setting the body. You haven't noticed. Took a minute to make it look pretty, but I'm not going to be able to really get back in there, at least not without taking the motor out. So they don't look horrible. Once the metal cover that's on here gets over the top of it and welded and ground down, you won't be able to see any of it, because I'll have something else bad up there. Who knows? Nah, it'll look good. It'll all come out just fine. I'm looking forward to getting all this done. But getting ready to drop the motor back in place, and then we'll get the motor mount tacked in. Just have to remove it, finish weld it, get everything bolted in, and then we can finish up the exhaust in terms of the general construction of it. I don't have the exhaust gaskets. I don't think they're going to be here till Friday. The manifold gaskets, that is, but I can build the exhaust, and then we'll drop the body on it. So let's get to it. Hey everybody, we're back. It is morning of the next day. Yesterday when we left you, we were working on getting the motor in after the transmission or the motor mount changes, all of that good stuff. All that's done. As you can see, I think I already showed you, but we got good clearance on the belt now, and we've got good clearance down here. You can just barely see it right there on the motor mount. I've got the exhaust bolted in, and now we're fitting up the remainder of it. So the header part already came with the rig. the motor that I bought. One of the reasons I'm still using it is because it's got the O2 sensors in it. If I put a straight header system with zoomies on it, which would be nice, I really kind of need a collector on it, and I just don't believe that budget's going to allow it right now. Maybe something I do in the future, but for this build right now, we're going with this system. Just is what it is. But here, I'll show you what we're doing with the exhaust. So I've got the other half of the V-band clamp, which we purchased. We're sliding in one half of it was a 180, and I've cut it down, slid it into place. Oops, where'd my other half go? Oh, here it is. All right, so flange end is going to go on there, and it looks like I'm going to have to do a little bit more cutting to get that angle right. I've got a couple of odd angles going on here, but I'm going to match those two angles up to get this joint right. And then so once I get that joint right, we're going to tack it all in. I do need to devise a couple of hangers for it. And then once we got the hangers on it, that'll be that. I got to make the turn downs too, but that's going to be simply cutting off some pieces and mounting them into the exhaust. At some point in the future, I'm going to do some kind of aluminum piece underneath the muffler, just to give a little bit of an air gap, so if we're sitting in grass or something, it doesn't immediately catch fire. It waits a minute, you know, till after I walk off and not there paying any attention. So that's where we're at, and we'll get to it. All right, so it took a little longer than I thought it would to build the exhaust. It actually, the exhaust construction itself wasn't that bad, but getting all of the stuff to get the brackets together to hold it up, that sucked. I don't know, it just took forever, it seemed like. But at any rate, I got Ronan. He's going to put air to the suspension. What?
If I can figure out how to.
It takes a little bit of strength to hold that in place. There we go. So, exhaust, keep going. Exhaust is connected to the chassis. The chassis goes up and down. Maybe.
If I can do it.
Ronan is riding the struggle bus over there. There we go. That's good. Now do the rears. So at ride height, that's good. At ride height, we got lots of room. But I've still got to have to get something underneath here, just to give me a little bit of protection, I think. A little concerned about heat when we lay that down, but it's in, and now we can move on to placing the body. It does need to be taken back out and finish welded, but it's strong enough. Got plenty of strength to it. A little bit of bounce, so it shouldn't vibrate too bad in the cab. So, moving on. Not bad. Okay, we're getting ready to start cutting. We've got a couple of braces in. These are more just to help keep things the same width as they are now. So I got one mounted up to here. These are the old tailgate, what you call them, the bars that keep the tailgate from opening too far, mounting points. And then I just got another one up here, just sitting in a couple of holes that are already in the body. But now what we're going to do, we're going to cut along here all the way across to the other side. We'll go up. We're going to cut the fender somewhere right in this point all the way around. I'll probably remove the fender separately from the floor, and then the floor, most of it's already removed, but we'll go along, remove it across the back, use a combination of the grinder, the Sawzall. Hopefully don't have to pull out the plasma. Once that's done, the only thing I have to do is disconnect the fuel fill and the 2 bolts underneath. I'm waiting on the fuel fill because I don't want sparks and stuff around open vapor. So we'll leave it a closed system for now, work around it, and oops, good Lord, I can't keep anything in frame. So we'll keep it a closed system for now until we get everything filled up and go from there. Alright, so floor's out, braces are in, I've got it rigged up. I went as sketchy as possible so that we can have a little bit of drama. You know, if there's nothing to get the heart rate up, just boring film, right? But I've got everything kind of a little bit forward. There's not as much weight back here as there is up here, but it should be free. Hopefully we don't have any wires, but we're going to start picking it up. And the idea is to pick it up and then just swing the whole gantry back and around the corner, set it down. Now we'll probably have to work on cutting some of this out in this area to accommodate the shifter and everything over there. But I'm going to do that once I get it over there because I don't know where to cut it right now. So that's what we're going to do. Alright, we got the body off. Our point of balance was a little bit off, so I'm trying to reset it and get it so it'll sit level. I was really tail low before. Ran into technical difficulty. Rona's nose sprung a leak, so we had to go take care of that. Alright, so I'm having to remove the fender flares and part of the lower body to clear the wheels inside dimensions. I kind of suspected this was going to be the case. I measured before, and that really is what it seemed like. I'm still probably going to have to get spacers for the wheels, but this should slide in with these fender flares cut off. So I'm going to cut these off of both sides, and then we're going to see if we can set it down. It also looks like I need to cut a hole in the floorboard for the shifter to fit through. Also not a big surprise. Really suspect we're going to cut out about half of that floor anyways for the drive shaft, and we discussed that previously. All right, so that's what I'm going to be doing. It's probably going to get noisy, so I'm going to switch you over to time lapse.
Was a modern-day gypsy when she stumbled into town. She had some tricks up her sleeve, and she took my heart and disappeared. She went up that mountain just like I feared.
Lunch, everybody. We're back out here. Yesterday was a pretty good day. We got a lot done. This morning took some time, took the old chassis that my body came off of, and I put my better body on it just to get everything out of the way. That's going to be a future project. I've got lots of good parts for it. Haven't made final decisions on what that's going to be in terms of power plant, whatnot, whether I rebuild that or go something more modern or whatever. I think it's going to eventually be Ronan's first car. You know, street driven, go take it to school when you're 16 kind of thing. But in my fashion, it can't be a normal car. It's got to be something different. Over here on the Ratrod Tickle Pickle, we are working on getting the axle openings cut and in place like they need to be. Yesterday when we left, all of this was in contact. It's not now. The axle's just crooked. You can see over here, if you look down inside here, this is the brake components and the body's all up in it, and we got lots of room up here yet. So I got to pull this wheel off. We will then cut the opening. I'll take out quite a bit, actually, about 4 inches almost around that brake. And then that'll let the body sit where it needs to be. And then from there we can start designing the interior structure that's going to hold the body mounts that are going to hold it underneath, getting all that. Of course, I got to get it centered and whatnot. And then we've got rear structure to fabricate, as well as the mounts that hold the fuel tank. All of that has to be done. Rear bumper. And then we got to get into seats, the chop, steering, brakes, all that's going to be heading out, or we have all of that to look forward to. Man, some days I just cannot think and talk and move all at the same time. No big deal. All right, all I got to really do is fabricate, and fabricate halfway decent. So let's get to it.
Come on down from Shaker Mountain, shake for me one more time. Won't you come on down from Shaker Mountain, shake right by my side. Alright, alright. Now my daddy told me in earnest not to go up that trail. He said I should be nervous, that I might come back a different man. Not at all, not at all.
Okay, so lots of thinking going on. Brain's starting to smoke a little bit, I think. But I've got some ideas. I think this is what we're going to go with on the front end. Fenders, the 55 early Chevy lights. Going to keep the front end that I've already got built. I don't have this piece in because it won't fit the belt right now. I haven't cut that out. The lights will probably sit a little bit higher, probably up in here. Oops, sorry, there you go. Probably up in there, but for right now they're sitting in place. In order to put these on, we're gonna have to extend this out. I'll probably take it back at an angle, whatnot, and then maybe do an inverse curve in here to fill this in, and then we'll probably do a filler panel from this point forward, just to make it kind of fill in and not just, you know, look weird. The chop, so we're going to take this portion right here, we're going to come down, it'll sit right about here, about 4-inch chop. I looked at going to 6, which would be down here, and I just don't have quite enough headroom. These seats, I'm going to have to lower. I'm going to use these seats. Now, I could build some, I suppose. I just don't think I have the time to do the chop and everything else that we got going on. So I'm just going to take the brackets on these and lower them down 1.5 inches. I've got the wheels sitting. I've ordered spacers. They're not here yet, but they should sit something like that. So I should have plenty of room in there. Here in the back, gonna do some cutting and welding. I think we already discussed that. Been going around just trying to get things, make sure we're sitting level. As much as possible. I know you can't see that one over there. I can. That one. But for the most part, we're looking good. So at this point, I need to get underneath it, measure for the body mounts, go get them cut so that we can get everything lifted up, get them welded on. That'll lock the body in. Then we can start completing the bed and the interior piece. Bed's gonna be kind of funky. The metal I have is 48 inches wide, and I don't remember how tall, but I need 53 inches wide and like 43 inches long. So instead of my ribs running this way like they should, they're going to run this way because, well, that's how I go. Is what it is. You can bash on me all you want for it. It's going to look a little funky. I'm okay with it because we got budgets. You know, if I build one of these without a budget, we'll do it all right. 100%. Or at least as right as I do it. So that's where we're at. So what I'm going to do is get underneath and start measuring for body mounts, and then probably start working on the back frame because that part of the body mounts are going to mount to it. So we need to get it measured, cut, the down bars put in it, the bumper bar put on, and then we'll be able to mount the body mounts off of that bumper bar. So that's kind of important to get in. That'll support the rear. Once the body itself is all mounted, then I can mount the back panel and the bed panel. Probably do the bed panel first, this one up here. Once it's in, then I'll make this one meet and get them welded together. But she's working, she's coming together. Just got to keep on the throttle. Okay, I had the mail came, so I had some parts come in. We got some exhaust gaskets, kind of needed these. With those and finished welding, the exhaust will be done. That's a good thing. And then I got to give a shout out to Dave Chappelle over at the Dirt Head Shed. I reached out to him the other day. I had been watching him and Fred Williams on Dirt Every Day. They did their mini trucks up in Colorado on several trails, and I noticed that Dave's rig had some air controls in the cab that I thought was really cool. So I reached out to him asking him what brand, and he told me it was the manual air valves from Air Jacks. So, which is kind of cool since I live in Jacksonville. All right, oops, sorry, you're stuck. There you go. I don't know, you had a crick in your neck or something. So they came in today. I thought we'd unbox them, take a look. Kind of excited about these. The ones I've got in my RV are just little plastic cheapy things. I don't like them. Oh look, t-shirt. Can always use more t-shirts. So Air Jacks, nice little shirt. I don't know how they knew my size. Good enough. Fat boy size. And nicely packaged. We got some plugs. And I thought I ordered a different color, but no big deal. So yeah, real nice unit. These are going to work out awesome. I can mount them. I'm probably going to mount them in the center console like this, because I don't have any dash space. They got individual controls, so in, out, and then to each one of them. And then you can put gauges on each bag too if you want. I don't know that I'll do that, but outstanding. One big step, or one little step out of many little bigger steps. I don't know. At any rate, we got to keep stepping. So with that, I'm going to step back over to the rig. Going over tomorrow to cut body mount brackets. Sorry, you're all crooked. Your head's leaning over. Going over to Mike's tomorrow. We'll cut some more metal, and then that'll let me get the brackets done underneath, the bottom be mounted, and then we'll start working on that rear frame and the rest of the bed. And then with that done, we can start moving on to other things like controls. Outstanding. All right, everybody, I'm back. Been a minute since I filmed. Today's Saturday, about 2 o'clock. It's hot. Oh my God. But at any rate, I'm whining. Yesterday, Friday, Rona and I went over to Mike, his shop, and got some plasma cutting done. I got 12 of these cut. These are going to be bent here and here to form the body mounts. I've got 12 of them. I don't think I'm going to need all of them. I got a few extras just in case. And then started working on finishing the rear subframe. I want to get the down bars done, the crossbar done, and all of that so that I can start working on getting the radiator mounted and the fuel tank mounted. So let me take you in. We're going to show you what I got over there. I'll bring you back to the cuts I'm making because as usual, I got something funky going on. So hold on with me. Bear with me. I'm going to pause you. All right, here we are. So I've got this cut. We're going to bend this down. I'll probably do something in here to bend it around, cut it, bend it around, that kind of thing, like I did before. It'll be welded back here. This piece up on top is going to be welded down. We will fold this piece over and weld it. We'll weld on the back side, all of that good stuff. Probably do a couple of holes in the side so we can weld there as well. Down here on the bottom, this is where there's going to be a 2x4 cross brace that goes across there. These are from the original. They're going to get welded in here. Those will be my bumper. But of course here what I want to do is I want to cut up above and remove just the inside portion so that the cross brace gets nested in here. This outer piece will act as an end cap, and then back in here, because this angle's a little bit longer, it won't get cut all the way through, but it should all look nice and neat when I'm done. That being said, I'm going to pause you again, take you back over to the other side and show you what funkiness I got going on there. All right, so here's my piece that I need to cut, and it's too short to do both of them that I want. So I'm going to end up, this is going to be the piece, the horizontal piece on edge that's going to eventually be nested inside the other one. And this is the angle I need, so I need this whole piece here for my vertical, and I need this whole piece for my horizontal, and I'm that much too short. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this piece out, then I'll cut this one this way right here, and this little corner will get nested back inside, and we'll only end up welding, you know, this much of it, and it'll go across here. It'll go all the way across to the 2-inch will be here. It'll be plenty strong. This wouldn't have gotten really welded anyways. The outside's going to be capped, so all in all it should be fine. The only place that it'll show would be underneath. Not much I can do about it, but we'll get it done, because that's just what we got to do. Or maybe what I'll do is I'll cut one side all the way on that one and cut this one all the way on this side, and then I'll have the best of both worlds. The outside edge that's against the steel will be missing its corner, and the bottom edge of this one will have its full corner. I think that's what I'll do. Like I said, I got something funky going on. Take me a minute to wrap my head around it all, but we'll get it. I'll show you when it's done. It'll make more sense to y'all. All right, man, did I end up with some ugliness on this? My plan, while I think a good one, was not executed well. So back here where I thought things wouldn't matter, I was wrong. So I'm gonna add a piece in here like so, and then we'll add in a piece here like so. I've got more ugliness there, miscut it there and there. So I'm gonna get I got pieces cut. We're gonna cut all that in, make her pretty, and then I'll bring you back and show you how it looks when it's good. Okay, so progress has been made. It's better. So I went ahead, I got the bumperettes welded on. They're a little warm still, but we're not looking too terrible in here. A lot better than it was a minute ago, that's for sure. And on the back side, let me roll this up real quick. It gained some weight with those bumperettes, I'll tell you that much. Sorry about the Sorry about the shaky camera work, but you can see we're looking a little better. It's not perfect, but this is underneath on the back side of the bumper, so I'm not too terribly worried about it. But it was one of those things, the more I messed with it, it just wasn't getting any better. I was just moving the problem around, and we got to move on to other things. I could conceivably just not show you guys my bad work, but in my opinion, YouTube is about real life. It's about guys like you, me, everybody else getting out there doing work, just trying and learning and moving on as we go. And if you don't show your bad work and you pretend like all you do is excellent work, that's really not YouTube. That's not what it is for me at any rate. So that's why I show it. So now what I got to do is do a little bit of touch up here with the grinder just to get some of the dingles off of it, and then we need to stick it in the rig and get it. I'll show you where it goes. Don't know that I'm going to weld it in today. It's pretty darn hot. It's getting late. I'm hungry. So let's at least get it in the rig. We'll show you where we're at, and then we'll come out and finish weld it tomorrow when it's cooler. All right, so we got it in. I did get 2 welds on each side so that I don't have to have clamps holding it up. It's hot. I'm tired. About 6 o'clock. So I'm going to call it a day, but I thought I'd show you what we got. So it's level. It don't really look like it though for some reason, but it reads level with the tape measure. I'll have to check and see, I guess. But we'll get these bent down. Ouch, hot. Get these bent where they need to be and bent over and all that good stuff. And yeah, we'll get that done tomorrow. Start working on cross bracing, getting it ready for the radiator to go in, the gas tank. All that's got to go back in here. So we'll get to it. See you tomorrow. Hey everybody. All right, it is Sunday, and kind of been just doing a little bit of cleanup, and the shop was an absolute disaster, so I had to get things a little bit straightened up so that I could think. Quit kneeling and all my shavings and all that different stuff. But that's all done. So now I've been looking and working at a little bit of the framework. I'm out of gas on the welder, so I got to go get some. Of course, it runs out on Sunday, but I'll go get some Monday morning, and we'll be able to finish welding up. But let me turn you around, show you what I got. So the corners and whatnot are done-ish, and in fact, I got to finish weld them. Not real happy with them. I still got to wrap some stuff and finish weld and all that, but you know, unlike these that really seem to come out good and strong, I'm a little concerned about how those are coming out. I may plate the outside, do a gusset or something underneath. I don't know. I'm going to think on that a little bit more. We'll work something out. I'm really probably leaning towards cutting a plate that fits inside, extends up into the frame a little bit to box the original frame and then act as a tie-in to the outside. It's good in the sense that it'll act as a crumple zone if I'm rear-ended, but bad in the sense that I'm concerned if I back into something, it's weak enough it'll just collapse. It won't even handle any impact at all. But we'll figure that out. Not a big deal. As for the radiator, it's not going to live that far down. It's going to sit up a little bit higher, but I don't have anything down there to mount it to. But that's its general location. And then the fuel tank, I think it's going to live there. I'll run a bar from this side to that side. We'll have some tabs come off it, and those will bolt to it. And then there's another similar bracket. You can't really see it because of the plastic down there. We'll do the same thing. We'll run it off of here, and then it'll likely capture the bottom of the radiator, and then we'll have a bracket that comes up off the top of the frame that comes out and grabs these or something. Or maybe I'll come out and around. At any rate, easy peasy mounting all that up. We'll work on it Monday morning next week, but it is coming together. All the major components are going in, and we're getting ready to start looking like we're going to be moving into a running vehicle. I'm going to take you over to the whiteboard, show you my schedule of what I've drawn out. I finally put together a list, so let's go check out the list. All right, hope you can see all of that. Don't worry about this stuff over here. That's just a list of parts I need to be looking at getting. This is the important stuff. So it looks like I got about 9 weeks of fabrication left before we need to leave and head up north. And so this next week, starting Monday, tomorrow, will be week 1. I'm going to work on mounting the body, the radiator, the gas tank, and the brake booster. Should be able to blow that through pretty quickly. I know where everything needs to go. It's just a matter of mounting it up. Then I'm going to be gone for a week. Ronan and I are going camping. And then we're going to come back, and the week I come back, we're going to work on the body interior as far as the tunnel, the back wall and the floor that's over the fuel tank and all of that good stuff. Gonna have to do something where the radiator's at so that we can have access to the radiator fill and overflow, all of that good stuff. I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do it. I got a couple ideas though. After that, we'll probably take the body off, and that is so that we can finish weld on the chassis and all of that good stuff. Then we'll plumb the radiator, the brakes, and the fuel system, the wiring, and paint chassis. All that needs to be done with the body off. And the wiring I'm going to use is off of the S10, and it only accesses the body through the firewall at one location. There's an interior harness, an exterior harness, and then at some point I'll have to run the engine harness that's here on this engine. I'll have to run it in, but there's a separate location for it. And then the body will go back on, and then we can start working on, so this will be at like week 4. Then we got to work on the front fenders, getting the light mounts done for the headlights, getting the seats in it, the steering done, all of that good stuff. And then at that point, that'll be, you know, somewhere in week 5, we should be a runner. Should be able to start, run the vehicle, barring delays in here. And then 6 and 7 is going to be working on just getting the body exterior done. You know, I was talking about the radiator air ducting and the fender flares, all that kind of stuff. We'll work on getting all of that stuff finalized, making sure that we are a street legal vehicle. And that'll leave us at weeks 8 and 9. And that would be the time that I have to do the chop. The windshield has to come apart in 3 different pieces. And then the top has to come into like 11. And it's fairly complicated with the way it has to explode, because as you drop it, the top has to lengthen, it has to widen. And then the sides are angled in like so. And so they have to widen as you shorten, and all of these other things have to happen. And so it's fairly complicated. Not as complicated as, say, you know, the older Fords or Chevys with the big rounded tops, but complicated enough for what it is. So, and I don't know, you know, if any of this delays and extends out or something else happens, then weeks 8 and 9 could be eaten up with other things. And I don't want to miss the competition because I'm not finished. So I don't want to start on the chop and then not have some of this done and then be like, well, I screwed up. So we're going to make it running and driving. I can always put the top on and drive it like it is in the standard Jeepster form. It won't be finished. It deserves a chop. It's going to get a chop, but I may have to do it after the competition. So that's where we're at. I want to thank everybody who's signed up and subscribed. Really appreciate the support. If you haven't, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel, and I've got a lot more ideas and a lot more content that I'm hoping to put out coming up. So let's get to it. Thanks.
Come on down from Shake a Mountain, shake for me one more